So you want to make a chalupa, do you? Well, first off, pronounce it right, mister or ma'am. Chalupa. Crispy, soft, chewy, cheesy, and all around delicious. It's the perfect dish, and you don't have to be hungover to eat one. And yes, this dish does predate the place that used to have a Chihuahua as a mascot. To the kitchen. Alrighty, starting with the dough, I will get my all-purpose flour into this bowl, then I will sprinkle in our baking powder, a little bit of kosher salt, give it a quick mixeroo, and then it is time for our wet ingredients. I will start with our milk, use whatever variety that you like, a little bit of vegetable oil, and then it's time to get to mixing just until it comes together. It really should only take a couple minutes. We don't want to overwork this dough. Nice, soft, delicate. I'm going to let it rest for a half hour, just let it rise a little bit. After a half hour, it barely rises, but it does help that baking powder just kind of do its thing. We'll lightly flour our work surface just a little bit, put your dough right into the middle, and I like to just press it down to this oval shape just so I can cut with my bench scraper right down the middle, and then cut the other way for 8 even pieces here. Then I will take them one at a time, roll them into a nice ball. Once you have all of your dough into little balls, this will just make it easier to press them. You could totally just do this with a rolling pin or by hand if you're skilled, but I have this tortilla press and I think it's awesome. We're not quite making tortillas. They're going to be thicker than tortillas, but this still should work. So I'm going to put parchment or plastic on one side, put your dough in there, cover it with the other piece, and then let the press do the work by pressing down gently. It should peel right off the parchment or plastic or whatever you're using. If it is a little sticky, just add a little bit of flour to it. But there you go. You can see they're not as thin as tortillas. They're a little bit thicker, and that's exactly what we want. If you'd rather slap your friend in the face with these than eat them for that water challenge thing, then you got problems. But that's okay. Now it's time to deep fry in our vegetable oil. You could use a deep pot and make your life easier. I'm just doing a shallow pan. Once you confirm that it's hot enough, around 375, I will just drop this in very, very carefully, watching my fingers. And then there's really no rhyme or reason this. Again, if you have a deep pot, you can just hold it halfway and then turn it. If you just want the circular shape, this becomes a lot easier. A minute or two on each side and you're done. I want that classic V kind of shape, that taco looking shape. So I really just kind of rotate it around, holding it up in the air, getting it nice and crisp on one side. Once that side is good, again, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, turn it around onto the other side and do the exact same thing. One more time, drop it in carefully. I found that if I did it on one side for just about 30 seconds, flipped it, and then kind of did my thing where I held the corners in the air to get that shape, what worked best for me. Want to be careful using tongs because they may rip the dough, so just something that's safe for your oil. Don't fill up the pot too high with oil. Make sure you have great ventilation and something to drain this on so it doesn't get too greasy. I have this awesome rack. I tried this rolling pin thing thinking I needed it to kind of help keep the shape. You don't. If you fry them well, they'll just hold up kind of straight up on your own. Definitely want to let them drip down. But this is why chalupas are my absolute favorite. The shell is just so crunchy, so crispy, but also soft and chewy and delicate. It's kind of just the perfect blend. Now that these are looking perfect, what to stuff them with? A hot pan, and I'll get a little bit of olive oil in there. Where's the beef? Well, it's not here today. I'm going with ground turkey because I'm going to make it so flavorful you're not going to miss the beef flavor. You can season with whatever you want. I'm going with some adobo, paprika, and chili powder, a little bit of spice, a little bit of smokiness, a couple fat tablespoons of garlic, a few diced jalapenos, because why not? Cook this down for a few minutes until it is cooked through and tastes good. Adjust for seasoning, but this is good to go. Obviously, you could fill your chalupa shells with whatever you want, but let's grab our shells. Oh, don't worry, it's just a green one, we're fine. Again, you can go with whatever ingredients that you want. My ingredients are kind of traditional. My order may not be, though. I'm going to start with the turkey on the bottom, then some cheddar cheese right on top so it melts a little bit, some diced onions, a fat blob of sour cream, lettuce, tomatoes, and of course your favorite hot sauce, whether it comes from a bottle or those tiny little packets. I have some leftover jalapenos, so why not for this bad boy? She is fully loaded and plenty sturdy. Let's invite the friends to the party. I'm going to grab one of these, throw a little bit more hot sauce on top. The best part about a chalupa shell for me is that V section where it's the fluffiest. It's super crispy on the outside, but super nice and fluffy in the middle. Each bite is better than the next, and it all kind of just swirls together, combines so nice. So you can see how soft it is here as I pull it apart, but it's sturdy enough to hold all this crispy, crunchy. And you'll notice I didn't poke holes in my dough before frying it because I love those bubbles that formed. I want every single one of them. Speaking of wanting every single one of them, I made 8 of these shells. I'm supposed to be sharing these, but it's been a very long time since I had a chalupa that wasn't accompanied by a night out on the town. So I'm gonna go to town on these bad boys. Judge me if you will. Thank you, Your Honor.